All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into Thanksgiving. We get into my road trip up from Texas. We get into being back here in the crazy house dungeon. We have some LPDS sort of universe current events, I guess you can say. And we got a Cage fact, very cool Cage fact, all coming up right now. All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's the show about nothing that finds the lessons and entertainment and fun and everything. I am back in the crazy house, the motherland dungeon basement with my parents, and I'm freezing. Okay, I have my hat on, my winter cap. I believe I talked about this in the past, but this hat right here, it says, OPP, yeah, you know me. And if you know anything about that lyric, it's from a song from the maybe late 80s, early 90s, Other People's Property. It was a rap song. And this hat was purchased for me by my grandfather, JPL2, in New York City off the street from, the, not scalpers, but the Canal Street sort of, under the table dealings or what have yous. He had no idea what it meant, but he gave it to me. I've had this since I was about, 6 or 7 years old. I've had this hat, and it's been keeping my smelling head warm ever since. Now, I'm putting it on because I'm freezing down here in the basement. There are 3 separate heating units in this house. We got one for the main area of the house. We got an extra one for the back. Excuse me. We have 5 individual heating compartmented areas in this house. And this is not a big house. This is a 3-bedroom, technically 2-bathroom house with this basement because we had the bathroom that we just redid in the basement here, or my parents had redone. But it's an old house, so the way it's set up is everything was segmented off. There wasn't central AC or central heating, so everything was segmented off, I guess. But down here, we have a separate heating system. It's the biggest room in the house, basically next to the living room. And it's drafty down here. And when I turn the heat up on the thermostat, it's almost like JPL3 knows. He can hear it clicking, and he can hear the radiator start to bubble up, and you can hear the creaking and clanking and cranking of everything. And within 20 minutes, he comes down here for something. I had to come and get, the can of beans. I had to come get more paper towels, whatever excuse he needs to come down and readjust the heat down again, he does. And he does it overnight. He does it as soon as if I go to the bathroom. He does it if I go outside to walk the dog. Any chance he gets to lower the thermostat down here to keep it blistering cold, he does. So I turned it up now to get it going a little bit more to warm up, but it's still cold down here. It hasn't worked. It's an older heater. It takes a little while to get the juices going. And I didn't want to go, I didn't want to break uniform, so I'm still with a tank top. All those in podcast land can't see me. I'm still wearing the tank top, but I'm wearing this winter cap to try to trap a little bit of the heat in, and hopefully me flapping my gills will warm me up and get my juices flowing a little bit because I am freezing. You could see in YouTube land, my schnoz is red. It's not alcoholism. You can see when I push on it, it turns a different color. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't even drink. Barely. I don't remember the last time I had some wine. I'm trying to remember the last one I had wine last. I don't remember. Weeks ago, I had some wine. That was it. That was the last time I drank. So I'm not a booze hound. I'm an alcoholic. I'm just cold and weak. and my blood has thinned out in the Texas heat. And I don't know if you can hear upstairs. They're watching a college football game that I'm missing right now so I can finish recording. And they're going off on one. So I'm going to hurry this episode up. I'm trying to be quiet so they don't hear. If they hear me, that's another excuse for them to come down. One to ask me what's going on. One to change the thermostat. The dogs will run down here. The next thing you know, we got a full-on circus going on down in the dungeon. And this room, as you can tell in the background, is not suitable for a circus. So I'm trying to maintain a calm, cool, collected tone of voice. Get down to business. Get down to entertainment. And get going into the warmer weather upstairs where it's nice and warm and toasty because they like it toasty, but they're not going to spend that extra cent on unneeded heating in the house. And I get that. But I'm also down here and I'm freezing my nubs off. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Back home. Sticks took the road trip with me. We drove up from Texas. We took 2 days. It's about 1,200, 1,400 miles of driving. So we took 2 days to do it. 12 hours each day, but it ends up being longer because we have to stop for the dog, we have to stop for food, we have to stop for gas, whatever it may be, traffic, weather. It slows us down. It ends up being between 13, 14 hours. Now, normally, I love road trips, and I think I've talked about this in the past, but this particular trip, if I'm by myself, it stinks because I'm by myself with just a dog. And it takes even longer to take stops and get fuel and stuff because I got to do everything with the dog by myself. So I got to go get food, then come back, walk the dog, then put him back in the car, then go to the bathroom, whatever it is. I can't bring him in with me. So I got to leave him, and I try to minimize my time leaving him because he's still young and not well trained enough yet. And I'm working on that to be able to stay calm in the car without getting, crying and whiny and bitchy moany. But it's a tough trip. It's boring by yourself. And it's not much better with somebody because we can't stop and enjoy the stuff we want to stop and enjoy. There are a lot of cool places in Tennessee and Virginia and even Alabama in certain points. And we want to stop and explore, try some new food spots, look at Civil War battlefields, things like that. And we just couldn't do it because we're on a timeline. So it makes the trip miserable. How you doing? Because we're driving past this stuff all day, driving, stuck in the car, eating crap fast food, and we can't stop to go enjoy, the Blue Ridge Mountains or Gettysburg or whatever else the Battle of Chattanooga, whatever we stopped to, whatever we drove by, we couldn't stop to enjoy it. And that's a little annoying. Sticks was not a fan of that at all. My brother, he did not like that. He does not want to do the trip again. I don't blame him. But that will probably leave me doing it by myself, going back down after the holidays and the winter are over when I head back down to Texas to the warmer weather. So we'll figure that out. Maybe I will extend my time out there and make stops and stuff. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I do have work I got to get done. There's a reason I don't take a lot of leave at this point right now in my career. That reason is none of your business, but there is a reason why I'm choosing not to take leave to extend my road trips and stuff like that. But anyway, we move on. What else we got going on? So my parents redid the bathroom down here in the dungeon. If you remember last year, 2 years ago, maybe it was last year. Nicky Sticks and I did a Christmas episode inside the dungeon bathroom. And it's the reason why we call it the dungeon down here. It's because the previous owners, and I've discussed this in the past, so you can go back to previous episodes and listen to me blabber on about it. But the previous owners, the lady, the wife or whatever, was a self-proclaimed artist and designer, and she was not. She stunk. And she designed the bathroom down here to try to look like a castle dungeon. with like exposed brick and cave-like designs and stuff like that. But what it really was the exposed brick was just paper mache and plaster and clay that she just plastered onto the wall in different random spots to look like random exposed brick that she painted like a child does for an elementary school play, like the set of an elementary school play. That's what it looked like. And then the shower area itself, the floor of the shower was asphalt. She paved it and put little infinity stones in there to make it look like a cool design in the asphalt. But it was straight driveway in the shower. So when you turn the water on, if you actually use the shower, what happens if you're outside on the pavement and it gets wet, you touch it, your hand gets black or your foot gets black. I'm not going, barefoot anywhere, so I wouldn't know about that, but it gets black. So you couldn't shower in there because you just get dirtier than you were when you walked in. So it had to be redone. So my parents got it redone, and they got everything. It looks great now. More lighting, less asphalt. But my mother bought the wrong toilet seat for the toilet. It's a round toilet and an oblong toilet seat. So when you sit down, there's a tiny space between the seat because it overhangs the toilet now. So between the seat width, I'm trying to diagram this out, illustrate this out on YouTube land. If you're just listening, it's not going well. You're not missing much. But there's a little space between the seat and the bowl of air. So if you're not careful with your pee-pee when you sit down, your pee-pee can shoot in between that gap and get all up in your pants and on the ground, and it'll be a whole mess. So you now have to be mindful when you go and sit down and take a dump until they get a new toilet seat. They left it on there because it's a working toilet seat. All you have to do is be mindful and have a little bit of situational awareness, and you'll be fine. And the seat works and the toilet works. So there's no rush to get a new seat right now. The only people using the bathroom are me. So they gave me the rules, the regulations, the guidelines, like the gremlin guidelines. Hey, watch your pee-pee. And that's it. They're like, fine, that's all we need. That seat's good to go for now. So who knows when we'll get a new seat. I got to watch my pee-pee when I sit down for dumpies. And that's that. That's what I'm dealing with. So it's been great so far. I got back Wednesday night, and I'll talk about it in the junction. I'll talk about Thanksgiving stuff in the junction. With that, I don't think I have any more current events. I'm trying to think. The Giants beat the Washington Redskins last week or 2 weeks ago, depending on when you're watching this. Their last game that I saw, by the time of this recording, the Giants beat the Washington Redskins barely, and everyone's going off on Tommy DeVito, the quarterback. Let it be known now, if that guy goes super viral and gets super well known, we joked about him here first. You saw my video I posted. It was clownery. It was a stupid video. It might not have been funny, but we did it here first. It was done first by us. And if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, go to I guess it's my personal Instagram page at Sarge029, and you'll be able to see the video there. If you scroll down enough, you'll know which one I'm talking about. I'm in a tracksuit, pretending to be a greaseball Italian. I'm not pretending. I'm just recording myself being me. So if Tommy DeVito, the current quarterback of the Giants, goes viral and famous, remember who did it first, okay? We're always ahead of the game here at the LPDS. So I don't think there's any other current events going on that are worth talking about. Brian Cashman a few weeks ago on his tirade, his rant. I don't know if he's trying to get fired or what, but he talked about Giancarlo Stanton and how he already writes him off as always being injured anyway, and all this other stuff about Giancarlo, and that like that's what you get with Giancarlo. He's going to be injured, and you got to deal with it, and not a good look. And I believe Giancarlo Stanton's agent even came out and said, like, hey, this should serve as a message to all free agents and prospects looking to play. This is the guy you're going to get. This is the team you'd be playing for. This is the leadership for the Yankees right now. They don't give a shit about their players, that they're just going to dog on them in public like this. They don't care. So keep that in mind. So that's a really great look for the Yankees. If they want to get good players, they got their own GM dogging on everybody that he picked. So he's going down the tubes. I had a solid conversation about this whole thing with the creature. I really wish that guy would just make a podcast already, or start up his blog, or make it a video blog, whatever he wants to call it, to be the voice of the fan who doesn't know enough about baseball, but also gets angry at what goes on with their teams. I think the creature speaks to that fan base of like, I know a lot about baseball and behind the scenes and trades and deals and all this other stuff, but just like everybody else, I'm an angry fan. I'm a fan of the Yankees, and I'm tired of them sucking. And he's able to translate the technical stuff behind the scenes to an angry, dopey fan like myself. He is that good middleman for that. And he puts things in perspective. I don't know if you can hear Randy barking upstairs. He's probably angry at my parents for screaming at the TV over sports. But yeah, creature, if you're listening to this, start your blog again, the Bullpen GM. We need a voice. The stupid fans who get angry and don't know why they're justified in getting angry need that voice. So be that voice for us, please. I'm begging you. I have the equipment. I'll give you some equipment if you want, and we can do the do. So with that, I think that's all I got for current events. Yankees stink. Giants are frauds. We did Tommy DeVito jokes first. With that, we'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right, reading from the computer here on the sponsors because I can't find my notebook for some reason. But today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by the Go to Sleep Forever serum. Are you a wife who's been married to the same dull, boring cake eater for 25 years, and the only thing keeping you together is that sweet life insurance policy he took out on himself? But you can't just stab him to death and expect to get away with it scot-free, so you remain depressed and defeated all day long? Hello. Well, turn that frown upside down, because the Go to Sleep Forever serum is exactly what you need. From the makers of chloroform wet wipes and O.J. Simpson's gloves, the Sleep Forever serum is a powerful elixir that suffocates the organs of anyone who ingests it and doesn't leave any evidence of foul play. Simply squeeze in a few drops into the old bastard's coffee or oatmeal, and you'll be on your way to Buenos Aires with Carlos the Cabana Boy in no time. So to get a bottle of the GTSF serum today, visit www.notthefbi.com and use the promo code WhatMurder for 29% off your first bottle. Probably first and only bottle, if you think about it. You really only need one, unless you're like the Black Widow and you're just constantly marrying dudes for the money and needing to find new, effective, creative ways to put them down. But anyway, I saw this on, one of the many TV programs that my mother watches about people murdering their spouses, because this is my mom's entire TV portfolio, whatever you want to call it, repertoire, schedule, regimen. It's Tom Selleck stuff, mostly Blue Bloods, reruns of Blue Bloods. It's Yankees and Giants to scream at them because she doesn't know enough about the sport. She just knows that they're not doing what she wants them to do at all times, so she yells at them, which is fair. She watches Hallmark Christmas movies, and she watches murder documentaries and murder shows, murder porn. That's it. 4 things. So when I come home from doing stuff, or when I come back upstairs from the dungeon, it's murder or it's Selleck. Hopefully, and I'm always praying it's Selleck because at least I can learn a lesson from his mustache and be entertained, and I don't have to sit there and watch why Gladys killed her husband and tried to claim it was self-defense, even though she stabbed him 194 times. So, buy some of that serum. Anyway, the Cage fact. Everybody remembers Con Air. I sure do. And everybody remembers the famous line from Con Air. Even if you're not the biggest Cage fan, if somebody said this line, you know it's from that movie and it's Nic Cage. And that line is, put the bunny back in the box. Now, I'm not going to even try to do it justice with Nic Cage's voice and accent he used for the movie and all that stuff. He nailed it, not me. But what's interesting and funny and incredible is that whole line and that scene was not part of the script. It was not part of the original script of the movie. Nic Cage came up with the whole idea himself. He came up with it. He wanted to have a movie line comparable to Dirty Harry when he said, make my day. Or do you feel lucky, punk? One of those where it's, you hear make my day and this is Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry. Iconic. He wanted one of those lines, and he felt that Con Air, with the craziness of the movie and the action and his role in it as an army ranger, as a war hero, defending his life and ended up killing these dudes and what have you, he felt that this was the movie that he can have that line, that memorable line that everyone hears and they know, oh, this is Nic Cage from Con Air. So he made the lineup. He created the line, and then he helped create the scene to insert that line into the whole thing. They kind of backwards engineered the whole thing, and he was orchestrating the whole edit and update to add the stuffed animal bunny into the storyline. When is it going to be added in? How is it going to continue and connect? And then when's he going to say the line, and what scene is that going to look like? What is that scene going to look like? Excuse me. And he did it all. It was his idea. And he even said, as silly and ridiculous as the line is, it's about a bunny, a stupid bunny doll, it hits. It's effective. It hits almost the same way as Make My Day, because the line, the scene. He's going after Billy Bedlam because Billy Bedlam was getting a little too nosy-wosy, sneaking around and snooping into Nic Cage's box. And Nic Cage didn't have time to put Go to Sleep Forever serum in his soup. So he had to take action now. And he saw him snooping around, and he said, put the bunny back in the box. And he knew it was a stupid sounding line because it's a bunny and this and that, but it connected well. It played beautifully. He took down Billy Bedlam. He saved the bunny, and he gave the bloodstained bunny to his daughter when he first saw her after he saved the day in Vegas. So that's it. That's the Cage fact. The good facts and little side stories and pieces of information and entertaining factoids, whatever. I know I said facts already. They just never stop with this guy. Just when you think he plateaus and dulls out, you find another Easter egg about the great one. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. That's the Cage fact. All right. Moving on over to the junction. We'll spin the logo up. I don't have much to say this week. It's been a crazy, hectic week that I'm not going to get into all the details because you guys have your own lives to live and your own craziness and hectic things to deal with. And I don't want to burden anybody with that stuff. Also, some of it's none of your business, and that's okay too. And I know most of you won't take that personally, but sometimes people do for whatever reason. Billy Bedlam took it personally. He was not minding his own business. And Nic Cage said, no, that's not for you. It's my business, not yours. And Billy Bedlam didn't like it, and he paid the price. And this is not a threat, because I am no Cameron Poe. But it's none of your business. So, crazy hectic week. I am very happy, though. My parents gifted me, when I got into the house, they bought a whole case of these San Pellegrino waters, so I don't have to drink peasant water like the rest of the rabble in this godforsaken state. I don't know why I said that. I love New Jersey. It sucks right now because it's so expensive and it's run by idiots, and the taxes are too high, and there's too much government regulation and rules and laws and stuff. I wouldn't be able to live here because I wouldn't be able to bring my guns here. They would consider me a threat to this state, even though I defended and protected the people of this state and their freedoms when I went off to the trenches of warfare down at Virginia Beach. But according to them, I'm considered a threat. So I took my talents elsewhere to save some money and live a little bit more free until I'm rich enough that it doesn't matter. And that's the key to success, folks, is if you're rich enough, the rules don't apply. And that's not a good lesson for you guys. So I don't want you to remember that lesson, but it's funny to think about. Anyway, they gave me this nice little gift here, and then we had this whole plan to do Thanksgiving. Who was going to make what? I was going to make some pumpkin bread. I'm still going to make pumpkin bread. I'll get into that later. I was going to make some pumpkin bread. My father was going to make the turkey. My brother was doing his meat and cheese platter. They call it a charcuterie board now, but it's like Italian cold cut antipasto. That's what it's always been. But the hipster waspy whites of the world needed to create a different name for it to keep it trendy and hip and cool. And Italians are not trendy and hip and cool to those people. We're cool. Look at Tommy DeVito. We're cool folks. And we have all this stuff already built into the fibers of our entire existence with all this cool shit like charcuterie boards and stuff. But because we're Italians, we're greaseballs to these people. We're heathens. We're swines. We're dirty rats. We're wops. We're whatever you want to call us. So they don't like using our terms. That's cool. Don't care. You could take charcuterie. So for those of you who are not Italian listening to this, you know the term charcuterie board that's our thing. We created that. All the meats and cheeses that are on your boards and the little salami flowers that you fold into, little designs and cutesy wootsy designs, that's us. We did that. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. In fact, we'll make those cured meats at home from the animals that we raise, and then the cheese from the cows that we raise and farm and harvest. And then we put it on the board on the table for everybody. Okay? We did that. And I say we in the general sense. I am not cool enough to ever pull that off right now, but my relatives in Italy can, and they do, and they have, and I've seen it, and I've eaten it, and I've enjoyed it. So anyway, my brother was supposed to do the charcuterie board. Dad was a turkey. We're going to bring it over to my sister's house. She was going to make some sides. My sister's in-laws were going to bring some sides and desserts or whatever. I don't know exactly what, but we had the whole plan. Everyone was going to make stuff, and then we were going to all convene at my sister's house. But the very last minute, and I'm not going to get into details because it's nobody's business. We had a sick child. My nephew has been sick under the weather. And long story short, we had to cancel Thanksgiving. Okay. So my dad still had the turkey. We all still had the food and stuff. So what we did was we sort of pivoted a little bit. And my dad made the turkey. I made some vegetables, mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts, and some stuff. My brother still came over and sliced and diced on those deli meats and cheeses because he is a cheese man after all. If you don't know the history of sticks, he used to actually be the cheese man at one of the Italian grocery stores in New Jersey, cutting cheese, slicing cheese, weighing cheese, melting cheese, eating cheese for all the people of New Jersey. So he came over, he did that. My mother had to go and watch my niece while my sister and brother-in-law were tending to my nephew. And we made Thanksgiving, the three of us, and we brought it over. We brought some little goodie bags for them so that they can eat, when everything was when the dust settled a couple days later or whatever. So we didn't have to sit down at the table, all the food on the table, the desserts, the platters, everything, all the people thanking each other and clanking glasses, and my mom crying when everyone's being thankful and happy and fun. We didn't have that this year. And it's the first time, I think, from my parents that they didn't have a Thanksgiving setup, celebration, if you will, an official, formal Thanksgiving meal. I'm used to it. I've been having Thanksgiving on my own for quite some time, or I've been doing Zoom burger eating Thanksgivings with Creature on the LPDS. So I'm no stranger to a non-holiday holiday, if you will. But it was kind of sad to see, but it was also kind of uplifting to see how people didn't get discouraged and sad. We just pivoted. As soon as we got the news that it was canceled, it was like, okay, this is how we're going to make Thanksgiving happen. Obviously, we're not going to throw the food away. That would be crazy. We are not throwing all that food away or saving it for later. No, we're making it, we're eating it, we're still getting fat off of it. Believe you me. But we had to pivot a little bit, and it was very inspiring and bittersweet. And the sweet part of this whole thing was that normally people get discouraged by this stuff. Especially my family, we're hotheads. We have short fuses, and when things go awry, we escalate immediately. That's what we're known for. And sometimes it's funny. And we bring it on. We invite the escalation because we know it's going to make for good content and good stories. But a lot of the times it creates problems, and it's annoying, and people get negative, and they go down to negative town, and they get bitchy and moany, and then people get angry at that, and then it causes more problems. That happens too. Sometimes that happens with people's families, and mine's no different. But it didn't happen this time. And I expected it to. I thought for sure it was going to happen, where people got mad. I don't get my food, my turkey, my desserts, and this and that. It's going to be a real problem, blah, blah, blah. It didn't happen. We just immediately almost like nothing bad happened at all. We just kept cooking and making food. And instead of sitting down at the table and eating, we put it in Tupperwares and trays, and we drove it over so that they can still have their food. The only thing I am mad about is the lack of desserts. We did not get the desserts. The people in charge of the desserts did not have the same mindset as the other people making the turkey and the sides and the vegetables and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not mad about that per se, but I am a dessert guy. I'll have a little bit of everything at the table on Thanksgiving, just enough for a fresh taste to see how good everything turned out. And then I turn my entire attention and focus on the desserts. And I eat those until I get into some sort of diabetic shock. And then I go and I take a nap. Actually, I don't take a nap. I sit there and wallow in my fatness. And then as soon as I feel better about myself, I hit the desserts again. I'm back for another cannoli. So whatever. What am I saying? I don't nap. I eat more. Desserts weren't there. That was the only kind of bummer about that, the whole pivot and contingency plan we created. But we did get to go and drop the food off, and then eventually see everybody that we wanted to see in the family. So it was like a mobile Thanksgiving, a to-go Thanksgiving, if you will. And there's really not much else to say about it. Again, I'm not going to get into too many details at all, but For those who know my family, you guys should probably be as impressed, or at least a half as impressed as I am with the whole situation, because historically speaking, the Librettis in general, not just my immediate family, but the Librettis in general, when hardships happen like this, it's like, what do they say about rainstorms and storms? It's only going to get worse before it gets better. That's what usually happens with my family. There's a piece of bad news and we have to plan a contingency. But before the contingency happens, there is a hurricane of chaos and screaming and pointing fingers and a lot of hand talking and yelling, and things are being, thrown around, shoes and cheese frag is going all over the place, and it's chaos for a little bit. And like I said, most of the time it makes for great content and stories and nobody gets hurt long term. But it's also not healthy. Sometimes we can't be doing that. So those of you who know my family or know my story, who've been listening long enough to sort of get a glimpse into the Libretti family household, the circus over here, this was inspiring to me. And I know I don't sound very inspired by it right now, but again, I'm trying to maintain a calm, cool, collected tone of voice because I don't want to anger the dungeon masters upstairs, because I don't want to get, my heat turned off and yelled at. So, but it was very inspiring to see that everybody immediately just jumped into help mode, into recovery mode, into how do we make sure we get this done so that everybody is taken care of and the shit gets done that needs to get done. And we can bitch and moan and fight with each other at some other time. I'm sure there's going to be a Giants game on, or my dad's going to have the remote control, and he's going to keep changing the channel and we're trying to watch a movie together. Anything, any trigger, any hairpin trigger is going to set us off for something not important. And then we can go into chaos mode and the circus can continue. And maybe I'll try to get it on film because you'll see how funny it actually is. But for this one, it was way better that everybody maintained focus on the goal, the mission, the contingency mission itself. And I don't know if they're watching my Instagram reels I'm posting on my Spearhead Instagram or not, but they took a couple of pages out of that book, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but they showed a lot of good leadership, my family this week, and I wanted to give them props. And that carried over too. And that's something I always talk about each Thanksgiving is the day of thanks, followed immediately by the most thankless, selfish, despicable day of the year immediately after. And again, luckily, thankfully for our family, we almost didn't have the opportunity to do that because of the stuff we were trying to push through. But there was no Black Friday, black cloud immediately following Thanksgiving. And so that's another taking a page out of the leadership book, of the LPDS book, that I appreciated and I felt very thankful for, that somebody's listening, or if they inadvertently did, it doesn't matter as long as they're doing it. And that's kind of the message I always try to push on Thanksgiving, is that we should be thankful every day. And that's how the Big Three started, if you remember. That's one of the reasons why the Big Three started, to begin with, years ago when I started actually preaching it out loud. And we kind of formalized it and created the Big Three. Was because people were always on social media posting videos. I'm so thankful. Here's a picture of my food that's going to be future shit in the toilet soon here, but I'm going to show you a picture of it anyway. And I'm thankful and this and that. Everything's hunky-dory and great. And the next day, these same exact people are running through stores, stampeding other human beings to be the first to get a flat screen television for $25 off. It's absurd. The whole materialistic mindset and that the whole chaos that ensues on Black Friday is absurd. Now, I joked about it a while ago a little bit ago with sticks, I think on the road, probably road delirium we were dealing with. But we did make a joke about how there's probably going to be less rioting and chaos on Black Friday this year because people have been rioting and looting stores all year long, the past 2-3 years now. So they're looted out. The stores aren't even going to offer Black Friday deals because they have nothing left. They've been looted already. So this is coming out obviously after Black Friday. I don't even know what happened. I didn't see any. Usually they have little news stories of like people have been camping out since 4 a.m. from Black Friday. I don't think they do that anymore as much. I think they just wait to do it online. I don't know. But it always stuck in my craw on how fake and people were about being thankful and grateful, because it was bullshit. If they were really thankful and grateful, they wouldn't be going out there stepping on top of other human beings for a fucking TV. Sorry, Terrence, family show. I know the kids are listening, so I apologize, but holy shit, is that crazy to think about? That's wild that the same people out there preaching thankfulness and gratitude and all this other crap don't even follow a fucking drop of that saying, of those phrases. They don't follow a single bit of it. I don't know why I said drop, but maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So I'm very thankful, legitimately thankful and impressed and inspired that I actually got to witness people following through on the gratitude and thankfulness. It was nice to see. It was times of hardship, I guess you can say, not the worst hardship. People have it way worse than us. It was a bit of time of strife, I guess, but they did it. And it's very impressive. I'm very happy to see that. And I hope you guys get to witness that stuff too in your lives and your families, is people actually being thankful and grateful. They're actually showing it through their actions. And you guys got to spend a good quality holiday, however you guys celebrated it, that you got to actually celebrate it appropriately and enjoy the time with your family and not let little stupid, unimportant, not real things get in the way of quality family time. So I think that's all I got today, folks. No hotline calls recently, which is fine. I know people are busy with the holidays, but I still would love to hear some hotline calls if you got them. Or if you want to spam me, give businesses the hotline number. When they ask you for your phone number and email address, give them the hotline number. I don't care. Let them call in. I'll play those. I'll have conversations with those people all day long. So before we go, though, real quick, the big three. The 3 pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being, and spreading that goodness and gratitude and health and wellness throughout the land to all the people around you. Number 1, exercise every day. Whether it's a physical, mental, or emotional exercise, do one thing every day to improve your health and wellness in one of those categories. So whether it's a full workout at the gym, going for a walk after a meal, for the physical stuff, whether it's reading a book, doing a crossword, or some sort of puzzle for the mental stuff, or whether it's praying or meditating or doing breath work for the emotional side. Do one thing every day so that you can get healthier and more fit physically, mentally, emotionally. Number 2, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. And for us here, to me, what that means is something as simple as just when the opportunity arises to be shitty and negative towards somebody, you just omit yourself from the situation and don't respond at all. It's simple to do, but it's difficult to do because your emotions take over. Sometimes people probably deserve to be clapped back at. Maybe they're being shitty to you and you want to respond in kind because they're being a shitty person. I get it. I've been there. I do it all. I feel like that all the time. But if you can just acknowledge your emotional state, detach from those negative and angry emotions, and just simply not respond at all, not only are you going to be minimizing the negativity and the shit and the shittiness in that situation in the ether, you're going to create more space and ability for you to go focus on something more positive and productive in your life. And you're taking yourself out of the negative as healthier for your brain and your soul and your mind. And you can go focus on doing more positive, productive things with your lives. But it's hard to do. I get it. It's very difficult to do. I catch myself in these situations on a regular basis. So I get it. All right, number 3, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And it's not just on one day a year on Thanksgiving or whatever other thankfulness holiday you guys celebrate. I don't know if there are any other ones, but it's every day. Instead of taking things for granted and it's just assuming they're going to be there the next day or that you're going to be there the next day, be thankful for them now. Show that gratitude now, because you never know when it's all going to be gone. If you do all those 3 things, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being and spread that gratitude and goodness and wellness and fitness throughout the land. Now that's all I got. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends and enemies and spread the good word. Hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Ask me questions. Give me advice. Spam my inbox. Give the number out to somebody you don't like. Make them call it. Whatever you got to do, 202-670-1114, and we'll get those hotline calls on the show. I am dealing with some weird camera tech issues going on with software programs, so hopefully the camera and video came out pretty well. I guess we'll find out in post, but we're working through that stuff here with the new setup and the temporary new setup here in the dungeon. So we'll work through that stuff. Anyway, thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.